I remember once reading this article about how horses are better off, or would be better off, I guess I'd say, if we didn't ride them at all. This person was trying to make the case for why um, it was abusive to ride horses. And if you do any research on this stuff, you'll find that the average lifespan of a wild horse is about 8 years. And I can certainly understand why that would be. If ever you've had a horse come in with an abscess in his foot, as an example, they're three-legged lame and they won't survive keeping up with the herd, or if they were attacked by something, they wouldn't be able to run away. Well, we can protect them, put things on the foot to help drain the abscess and get them to feel better. And it's not a life-threatening injury at all for most horses, but if they were in the wild, it could be. And, the same thing happened like on this past week. One of our really great school horses, Sadie, was out in the field and she went into a corner of the paddock that she never normally goes into. And it was just one big sheet of ice and she fell and slid right down this sort of incline and she was up against the fence. Now, as luck would have it, Janet went out to spread some manure down on some of the ice leading to her field, and it's her that found her. She would have died there because she was very, very cold by the time we found her, and it required my truck and a lot of help to get her off of the ice. So again, if we think about a horse surviving in the wild without any intervention like that, she wouldn't have lived very long. I guess my point is that, when we have horses, we have to do our best to make their life as humane and enjoyable for them as possible. When we used to use the horse for our very survival, when they were required to go into war with us, or when they were transporting our goods or whatever, maybe our moral obligation to the horse was a little bit different. But now that we just use the horse for recreation, of course we should be even more careful and even more compassionate about what we ask of them and how much we ask of them. But that's a long way from saying that horses should be left alone, left in the wild, and not ridden at all. At any rate, I guess my final thought today is that no matter how careful you are, things can happen. This video is of a wonderful horse we had named Cody. And this is from last year. And we were really worried about Cody because he was 24 years old, but he had quite a lot of energy, and he had been in paddocks where, the footing was a little bit sketchy, and we were kind of concerned that he might kind of get to a point where his energy level overrode his common sense and he might do something silly. So we let him loose in the arena for a little bit just to kind of take that edge off him. But last week, he was in his stall, he laid down to roll, and when he got up, for some reason, I guess his hind leg wasn't in the right place, and he tore all the ligaments off of his stifle. And Thursday night, much to our shock and horror, really, we had to put him down. And it just makes you realize, A, how fragile horses are, B, how, despite how careful you might want to be, they're still prone to accidents that are unforeseeable and hard to even comprehend. But the final thing is that, they're still better off under our care than they would be wild. And so I'm not saying we should round up every wild horse that is out there because they have their life to live, but I'm arguing that horses are not necessarily worse off because of human intervention. And Sadie, that we found on the ice and were able to rescue, is proof of that. And Cody, God rest his soul, was 25 this year. And so I guess despite the sadness of the circumstances of his final few hours, he had a pretty good life. Anyway, those are just reflections I've had this week on horses, and I guess I was a little too sad to make a video about anything else. Anyway, if you're watching this anywhere besides at our blog, which is at ismyhorsehappy.com, go on over there, scroll down, leave a message, and let me know what your opinion is about the ethics of riding horses. Thanks, we'll see you next week, and always remember to thank your horse.